if you had to like say like a little message, you could totally say no too. I know that you're. I think that you would take this on. Um, what would you want your like I know that there's a language barrier with you and your pops, right? Like now that he's there, like if he could, if it was just unfiltered and you could just and there's something that you wanted to say that you couldn't quite articulate, what is something that you really would just want to express or like say to him?
What I would tell my dad is a lot of things. It's a lot of things that I told him before he passed, but it's worth repeating, which is, like, even though we had trouble communicating, mainly because English was his second language and I never really learned Mandarin, like, I knew that he loved me, and I know that he knew that I loved him too. And that even though we couldn't communicate as deeply as we wanted through words, the feelings are always there, and the lessons that he taught me are always there. And you have nothing to worry about. The grandkids are taken care of. My brother and sister are taken care of. We're gonna take care of mom. And to just know that there were times like I wish, like, oh man, I wish I could get my dad to do mushrooms. He's gonna see the light, because my dad was a lifelong CEO too, and running those companies, he really identified as a CEO. And while he was recovering, we all had to take care of him, and he always took care of us. And it was really difficult. And actually, the chemo and all the treatments were working very well physically, but mentally he was having a tough time, because he was used to being the caretaker and not being able to be taken care of, so that's why I wish he had a psilocybin experience that could kind of take him out of the matrix. But one of the things that I learned was, for people of that generation, like, they were worried about survival. They were worried about just sustaining. Self-actualization and enlightenment wasn't their purpose in life. Their purpose was to go from struggling every day to making a better life, to creating something so that I can go broadcast my message out to so many more people. And my dad, he was not very emotionally intelligent. Like, I didn't learn any of that from him, but I learned my work ethic, I learned my discipline, and I learned a lot about, how to be a responsible human being through him. But I also believe that, like, Gavin's seen the way I parent my daughters, and my goal is to make sure that my daughters are, Sabo 3.0. I want them to far exceed anything that I've been capable of. And like, I think for my dad, like, this isn't a slight against my dad, but like, I know, like, I'm gonna be better than my dad. And dad, like, that means he did his job, because I feel confident that I could exceed what he's done, and to give more of myself in ways that he just wasn't able to. He had trouble having tough conversations with people. Like, when he needed to lay people off from his company, he would ask one of his best friends to do it. So his best friend was the guy that everyone hated, because he would do the tough part. And like, my dad, like, he was a very nice man and very strict at the same time. But yeah, that inability to have those tough discussions, that is something that really taught me, like, I need to be better than my dad at this. This way I could connect with my wife more. This way I could connect with my kids more. This way I could connect with everybody more, and those are the things that I've really remembered. Like, I called him every day. He was in Taiwan. We FaceTimed him. My sister told me the times that he saw us and the girls were basically the only times that he would smile. So I know for the last 90, 120 days of his life, like, every time we would call with the girls, that was the highlight of the day. And I felt so good to be able to do that for him. So, I hope, Dad, if you're listening out there, that that we were very intentional, wanting to make sure that every day you had a chance to smile, and that, yeah, like, we miss you a lot. Like, I'm holding it together okay right now, but there are times when I just can't hold it in. And It just has to come out, like the release valve that Gavin said. And it's difficult, like there's many times I feel absolutely normal. Then I think about him and I get brought down to this other headspace. But, as Gavin says, the feeling of pain is also congruent to how much impact he had in my life, and I'm thankful to our other friend, Edwin, who would constantly talk about his relationship with his dad. And I had already told Gavin this, but when I found out my dad had cancer and we flew back to Taiwan, the last podcast I did was with Edwin Ho, and he's an occupational therapist, but we ended up just talking about my dad and instead of like what he was doing. And he would check in with me every week to see how my dad was doing. And honestly, like, it was to the point where I was like, he thinks about my dad more than I do, which was kind of silly when you think about it, and like I'm very thankful that Gavin and Edwin came into my life at the time, because I think with Flowmasters that really opened up a part of me to just be there with them, and not be in my head. And then with Edwin always talking about him or talking about his dad and how much reverence he had for his dad, that was also a constant reminder to contact my father and really engage as much as we can over FaceTime with him. And I don't know if I put this part 2 and 2 together, Gavin, but the one part that really tied it all together in a beautiful little bow for me, what turned me from an atheist to a hopeful agnostic to someone that has a strong spiritual practice, was that Edwin, he has hearing aids because he's hard of hearing.
Right.
And his dad actually, before his dad passed a law so that if babies are born hard of hearing, like there's a program that they could get into, get fitted for hearing aids and things like that. And he saw this lady who had a child with hearing aids, and he ran up to her and just said, hey, I have hearing aids too. Like, I hope you're not freaked out, but I just want to let your son know, like, just because he has hearing aids, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, he could also learn how to speak. Look how well I speak. And the lady told him that, like, that the reason, like, they were able to detect the hearing loss so early was because of that bill that his dad had passed. And wow. It was so cool. And like, the part that really kind of brought it full circle was that when I went back to Taiwan, like, my dad was also hard of hearing and he had to get hearing aids, and that was the first time he had hearing aids. And it was weird because it made it hard to communicate with him, but at the same time, I think because he was hard of hearing, instead of communicating with words, we try to communicate more with feelings. And, when I was telling my sister this story, like, I was just so overwhelmed because, like, a lot of times you just think stuff is chance, and maybe it is chance. I don't really know the odds of the universe. Anything could happen. Like, a monkey could type out fucking Romeo and Juliet given enough multiverses. But I like to think, like, Edwin and his reverence for his father and the hearing aid story and all the different hearing aids, like, me and my sister had to, like, get my dad fitted. There was some sort of connection there, and it really did allow me to have closure when he died. Like, I left nothing on the table, and that's the best part. Like, I realized that life is temporary, and the worst thing is when you don't have closure, and you just think. So I don't have to do that. And that's what I'm really grateful for. And for my dad, like, I think, he knows that how much I care for him and how much I'm going to carry on his legacy, and how, every parent, they love their children the same, equally. But, I think every parent, it's okay to have favorites. And I wasn't my dad's favorite. My dad's favorite was my sister. And my sister is this very special human. She's given a lot of her life for our family, like years of her life, you know, when me and my brother couldn't. And, you know, one of my younger daughters is just like my sister. And, you know, the connection my youngest daughter had with my dad, like, my dad's like, he was horrible with kids. Like, he just like, I mean, he liked kids, but he just didn't know how to interact with kids. But with my youngest granddaughter, Savannah, who's also been on Flowmasters freestyling too, you know, they had a connection, you know, and it's just, it was beautiful to see, like, kind of like my dad with my granddaughters, because my dad, you know, he was a businessman. He wasn't around a lot when I was younger, you know. He was always traveling out, and I didn't see him that much, really, you know. My mom really raised me, but my dad would come back and, you know, like stern father, scold us. We'd be scared, you know, and stuff like that. But ultimately I realized, like, he is the reason why I'm almost bulletproof here right now, you know, like I'm almost bulletproof to anything. And the flip side is, the good part is, I realized through, you know, all the learnings in life, like, I don't have to be bulletproof. I could take off the bulletproof vest and allow myself to get injured. It's okay. But when it's time to suit up, when it's time to go to war, when it's time to fight for a cause, like, I have 100% belief, like, I put on that bulletproof vest and I'll be on the front lines and able to fight in a way that, you know, is similar to what you see when, like, those teams that are like down 20 points in the fourth quarter and there's only 5 minutes left. Like, are they just going to throw in the towel, or are they going to play like every minute and try to just hit that last second 3-point dagger, you know, like Kobe did, you know? And that's what I know. Like, I have that in me too. And the ability, my dad had that, you know, and he couldn't take off the bulletproof vest, you know, and that was the problem. You know, he always had to be bulletproof. So yeah, you know, like, Dad, you could take off your vest now. You could just be you. You don't have to be dad. You don't have to be CEO. You just be you, you know? And that's what I want to send my dad.
Dude, that's beautiful. I think even though your dad has never did psilocybin, I think he's having that psilocybin experience now. I heard this, I was listening to this monk talk, and he made the point that, you know, when somebody dies, we don't actually know what happens to them internally. Like, we know physically the body's no longer there, but nobody's been able to actually prove what happens to the internal, the subtle, spiritual essence of a person. And so it could be very much true that the spirit of your dad is around still, and the energy that he brought is still around us. And I like to believe that your dad actually did hear everything you just said, and I know for one thing, he's definitely smiling right now, man. So that was beautiful. And also what you said about closure kind of reminded me. I sent this quote to Gavin, but there's a quote about closure that I really love. I'm going to read it real quick. And it's this: I suppose in the end, the whole of life becomes an act of letting go. But what always hurts the most is not taking a moment to say goodbye. And I'm so happy that you had a chance to say goodbye, Sabo.
Thank you.
Yeah. That was true. That was true honoring your father right there, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, that's love right there, dude. Those tears are love, bro. That shit is freaking powerful, man. You know?
I'll tell you this: a monkey could not type that up with all of infinity. What you just expressed and experienced, no monkey could type that up on a typewriter, my friend.
No way. No fucking way.
Oh, yeah. I love you, Michael Bird. I love you, Michael Bird.
I love you too, Sabo.
And Vincent
you know
said
what?
that's beautiful. Vincent said that was beautiful, and he's like, "I love you, Sabo, bro." Vincent, true.
Hey, thank you, Vincent. Thank you very much. And you know what? Like, this is why I believe in the true power of Flowmasters. You know, like, we just come here, we think we're gonna rap, we're gonna rhyme, we're gonna have a good time. Maybe we learn some skills, we show it off to our friends after. But the truth is, like, you know, I see it. It happens every week, you know, when people could cut the bullshit, when you could cut the act, you know, and just show up, you know, like nothing more than you are, nothing less than you are. You just show up as you. You connect with people really quick, you know, like you don't need to be face to face. You don't need to be in proximity. You just need to be able to use this technology. And, you know, the thing that prevents you from connecting isn't the technology, isn't the distance. It's your ability to be vulnerable and to allow to let people in, you know. So thank you guys for creating that container, because this is something like I did want to say and do, and I just wasn't too sure when I would do it. And, you know, like just waking up, texting you, and then getting a cup of water and seeing you guys go on live. And then I saw Bird just doing some crazy shit. I was kind of fixing the sliding glass door at my house, and I was like, these guys are having too much fun. You know, these guys are having too much fun. I got to get in there. Like, I don't need to be handyman today. I'm just going to enjoy myself. And yeah, you know, coming on, this was so cathartic. I'm super happy, you know, like, and yeah, man, you're the coolest CPA I fucking know, Bird.
Oh, shit, man. I appreciate that. I really do. Yeah, it's true, though. It's all about being able to remove the armor. And as men, we especially have extra armor on us to be a certain way and to be vulnerable and so open like this. A lot of men don't do that, especially men meeting themselves with each other for the very first time. You know, it's rare to have that instant vulnerable connection. And in some ways, maybe being behind a screen makes it a little easier to let yourself be vulnerable. You know, in some interesting ways.
Yeah, these safe containers, man. That's how it is. Like, it's powerful, man. And this is just one of many vehicles, you know, for this to take place right here. And, you know, I just like, I like to believe that, you know, after this call, you know, Sable, like that, you know, and all these experiences that puts you in a place where you know, you squeeze Savannah a little tighter, you know, you squeeze your wife a little more kiss, you know. And I just heard about the Asian kiss where you smell. You know what I'm talking about?
I didn't know that one.
I didn't know that. I thought that's a Chinese thing. That's what my buddy Daniel was saying, that like when they do this, like, and they sniff, because like instead of kissing, you're taking in their essence or something. And I never heard it. I never heard of that before. But you know, just all of that just being said, you know, it's just like, it's the same thing, you know, when my mom was a year ago when she was in the hospital, and even though I'm not hugging her right now, when she got out of the hospital, dude, and every time that I've seen her with these hugs, they're a little tighter. They're a little tighter, man. And it makes such a big difference. That little extra hug, that little extra tightness, is that extra batch of love. Just like, yeah, it's like, fuck, I love you, you know? And so this was, in a way, you're gonna love, I think that you're gonna love harder, man. And that's gonna be a gift to all you encounter, especially your family.
It's what matters most.
Back to the question, right? Yeah.
And you know what's interesting? You know, Bird, you were saying like maybe it's a little bit easier because we're doing it virtually, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it doesn't matter. What matters is the results, you know, of what happens. And you know why I respect each and every person that comes to Flowmasters is that, you know, like if we go back to the bulletproof analogy, you know, I used to wear that with such pride, like, you know, like I can't be broken, like nothing is gonna faze me. And what I realized was that was me running from emotions, you know, that was me running from being sad, anxious, depressed, all the things that are part of the human experience. So, you know, like this type of vulnerability, you know, like I give everyone a lot of props, because this is actually like the most courageous thing you could do, which is to show up here and to present yourself to the world in a way that, you know, you might look like the biggest fool, or you might look like Eminem, you know, who knows? Or you might just be something in the middle. But if you show up and you have the courage to take off the armor, you know, you're going to be able to receive so much. And just like Gavin said, you know, through this death, I'm going to be able to love a little bit more, because now I understand, you know, intrinsically, like the pain of losing a parent. You know, I think that's a very interesting connection, because you just think of your parents as like these people that will always be there, that, you know, always took care of you, that, you know, like nothing could ever happen to them. And when something does happen to them, it shakes the foundation of your life, you know. And you know, that foundation, fortunately, you know, means that a little bit more love will also come out, and the people around me will be the beneficiaries of that. And you know, and those are the lessons, you know, like my dad, one of the best things he taught me was, you know, even when you're losing, you're learning, you know. So this is like the ultimate loss, so I hope to have the ultimate learning lesson from it.
Yes.
Ultimate loss into ultimate learning. And dude, that's freaking powerful, man. That's awesome, dude. That was an awesome share that just has me more connected to my father and my mother, man. You know, and I think that, you know, it's a very interesting thing about Flowmasters, is that one thing I realize is that we all have, there tends to be patterns in what we talk about if we keep showing up, right? We could talk about this is what happened during the week, but when we really get inside, like, for instance, Edwin talks about his dad a lot. I end up talking about my family. Maybe like sometimes I talk about my mom, my aunties, you know, like I talk about family a lot. And it's just revealing. I always thought like family is important to me. I'm like, damn, it's super important to me. Because when I'm freestyling and my prefrontal cortex shuts off, that's what seems to come out. Like my family's just so deeply embedded in my subconscious. And another thing that I tend to talk about is I talk about that oscillation of confidence and doubt. I talk about that a lot too. And it's just like, you know, that forever kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like these two internal voices that are still there, you know. The encourager is coming out actually more, and I can't deny that the other voice is still there, you know. And so it's just like, wow, yeah, there's still something around expressing the insecurities, you know, and just talking about that dance between the two that still I talk about. So, you know, just kind of close this up in a bow too. I spoke all your time. We went a little longer than I thought. I'm like, no, actually, we went on as just as we were supposed to. And so what I really wanted to do right here is just, you know, kind of like end up on a lighter note, because, yo, we's a three-dimensional kind of being. So I want to pass it over to my man Bird, high in the sky, fly. You notice that there's not too many planes now? Bird, you can just easily just freely go up into the sky. So how do you wanna just fly?
Ooh, yeah. How do I want to fly? Like one hell of a guy just flying through the clouds. The power of now. Ooh, I don't have to worry about any planes running into me. I can fly so crazily up and down all around, flapping my feathers. I know that there's no way better. I gotta take off my armor and be vulnerable. Look at me, I have to just be beaming, singing, everything, letting it flow through me. So how do I want to fly? I want to oscillate too. Sometimes I feel nervous, dude. Sometimes I feel like I'm not good at rapping. But what does it mean to be good at rapping or flowing? Who gives a shit? It's all just energy. It's all just brain chatter. Yak, 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 yakety, yak, yak. What's up with that? Who gives a fuck? I don't give a fuck if I sound whack. You know, the other day I was thinking, it's kind of impossible to worry about what other people think of you. It really is, in the sense that I don't actually know what Sabo is thinking. I don't know what Gavin is thinking. You know, I could conclude that, man, Sabo thinks that I'm an idiot, or Gavin thinks that I'm dumb. But if I thought that, then that's really just what I think of myself. Does that make sense? I'm just projecting what I think about myself onto Gavin and Sabo. But in reality, I'm not in your brains. And so when I came to that conclusion the other day, I was like, wow. So every time I worry about what other people think of me, that's actually me worried about what I think of me and just projecting that worry onto other people. And that shocked me. And I think I'm not going to worry about what other people think of me ever again. And if I ever do, I'm going to catch myself like, no, Michael Bird, that's what you think of you. And then if somebody does come up to me and physically tells me, oh, you're a jerk or you're an idiot, you're stupid, I don't really give a fuck because that's not what I think of me. And what I think of me is more important than what you think of me. So that's how I want to fly to the sky. I just want to be in my own mind's eye. I don't want to be in anyone else's eyes except my own. I want to step on live stage and I just want to own. I just want to show off. I just want to be myself and blast off like an Elon Musk SpaceX rocket going into space to colonize Mars. I want to go hard ass motherfucker, ham. That's how I want to fly. I want to fly like a ham.
Ham.
That's
Come
how I
on
wanna fly.
now. Look at that.
Let
Oh.
me fly ham.
You don't have. It doesn't have to be Thanksgiving to go ham. No. I want to go. Sable, you want to have another go?
Oh, sure.
Ended up
I would
on
love
a lighter
another go.
note. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let's get lighter.
Yeah.
So, shit, Bird, you don't even fucking know. Me and Gavin, we met on the Ham podcast, yo. That's so crazy. That's my podcast. It's called Happy Asian Males. That's right. We never make bail. We don't go to jail. We just nice guys over here. Trying to really live life. Trying to be the best husband to my wife. Yeah, I talk about that a lot, so I guess it's on my mind. And you know what?
Yep.
This is probably why I just stick to the grind, because I got a friggin' family. They depend on me. I really love them. And then they come back and they love me back. So you know what, Jack? This is how we just got to get the paper to stack, because even though I say happiness isn't about money, well, shit, money really helps. I love to eat kelp. You know, I love the seaweed. It gives me all the photosynthesis I need in my body. I'm not getting it from the sun, but you know what? I might have to go run because my wife got pretty good buns, but not as good as mine. If you look at my ass, people will just say, yo, you can put a piece of glass on it. And I'm like, yes, you can. I'm skinny, but I got a big butt. I don't really know why it's so big, but you know what? That's probably why I could just run so freaking quick, because the best track runners got big asses. And you know what? I got a lot of pieces of glasses in my room to just smoke from, because I design vaporizers, the ones that I use on this show. This is just how I get higher. Yeah, here's my favorite one. This is the one I made for my wife. It's just rose gold, and this is why people just love it. It looks so good. It looks really nice, and it hits even better. So this is why you better open up your wallet and give me your cheddar, because Sabo gotta eat. I love to eat cheese. And you know what? When it's time to be on one bended knee, well, that's it's time for me to get married. That was 12 years ago, and you know what? That was the best day of my life outside of my kids being born, yo. So, you know what? I love this rapping. I think it's time for Gavin to start clapping. Let me hand the mic to my left. So what?
Oh, did you have a question? You got me to just end it.
Oh, no. No question. Just go in it.
No question. No
How do you like to fly,
explanation.
Gavin?
Okay. I got a question from another little bird. How do I want to fly up in this little world? Well, let me tell you, for these final 45 seconds right here, I want to keep on going, but not moving fast like light years, taking it slow as well. Just like the time I went to the beach today, it helped me to really take my own breath away through the vision of nature. This shit was so dope. And I just want to continue that even when I'm here walking around the block. But I can picture a lot of Flowmasters chapters taken all around the world, even in South Africa, even in Indonesia, even in Norway, and even in Greenway, right? Or Greenland, Iceland. And I see them, and people are just have the principles, flows just around the corner, rally the cipher, you know, like how to acknowledge and validate people in between the flows, like, and teaching them how do you hold the space for people to feel completely themselves in a virtual world, like, and imagine how powerful it is when people are in person. If you can facilitate a space for people to get real and they don't know each other online, and you can get them to feel authentically connected, you are a powerhouse. You know what I mean? So I see Flowmasters chapters and all the facilitators that there will be around the world they're going to be facilitators of life and true human connection. And that's going to make the world a better place. And that's what I stand for the rest of my life. You know, and right now, Flowmasters, you know what I mean? It's one vehicle for that to happen. So that's what I see actually, and it's kind of like crystallized a little more. That's what I'm here to do, man. I'm here to equip people with the skills to authentically connect to another human being, and Flowmasters is one way to do that. You know?
Fuck yeah, bro.
Yeah.
You have the vision. You've got the vision. That's all. It starts with the vision, man, and then you just trust that vision and you believe and you keep going. You keep going, man. I think you got something great here. So that passion that you just spoke with is proof that that's what you're here for, man. So use that feeling to inspire you, even when you're not feeling inspired.
Yes.
Remember that inspiration that just filled you, man. Because yeah, man, all you need is that imagination, and if you can imagine it, you can make it real. You really can.
Everything happens twice, and absolutely. Thank you, Bird. Thank you, Diana. It's been a while. She's actually from San Francisco near Sable, right? Thank you for supporting it. Vincent, appreciate you for staying on for so long. All the people that tuned in, anybody that rewatches, feel free to write down any questions. I'll be having more of these flow sessions, and they're going to continue to evolve. And I know Sable's going to be hopping on another one in time again. I want to have Bird on again, too, you know.
I'd love to.
It's just this is a beautiful thing, and this is a playground, y'all. So I know that a lot of you have creative expressions and things that you have. This is a time where you can let it out. If you have a poem, share it. You know, if you have a video about you doing a jiu-jitsu move and you're a purple belt, share it. You know, if there's a stand-up thing that you wanted to practice and you're afraid, like I'll say, share it. Share it. And you know what? You might get some comments of people that are not going to like it, and that's not the point. It's a validation of your creative expression. And not everybody will like it, nor should they like it, because people have their own preferences. And you know what? Like, one quote that I loved, and I'll end it with, is that I forgot. Somebody said that, like, you know, if anybody says something that rubs you the wrong way, or like is a thing of a hater, it's actually really not a hater. It's not really not a hater. It's just you've exceeded their capacity to understand what you're about. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. It's and whatever your dream, you share your dream and it doesn't resonate with someone else, that's fine, because it's not theirs. It's not their dream, that's yours. And it's your responsibility to take it. And if you're not willing to shout out your mission, then why should anybody listen? So shout out your mission. Be willing to discover that, you know? And those little people that you may not even know, there might be people here that are never going to comment, they're never going to like anything that I do, but they might silently watch it. I do it for y'all too. You know, and so you're going to be, every time you do this, you're touching people that you'll never, ever know. You'll never, ever know. You're touching people, and that requires faith. Even if there's no evidence looking backwards of what can happen and what you're creating, that faith. And you may not believe it at first, but the more you just bring it in, the auto suggestion of this book, you bring it in like, you know, like I'm changing the world. I am changing the world. One Flowmaster session at a time. One acknowledgement at a time. One Facebook Live at a time. I am changing the world.
I love that.
Like that.
You know, the thing you said about haters, this rapper, Chief Keef, he does like drill rap, like insane, but he was talking about his haters, and he was like, you know what? I appreciate my haters too. You know why? Because they care. And the idea there was that if a hater hates you, they hate you enough to care about you. So you know what? Cool, I consider you my fan too, because you care. I was like, damn, what a great way to frame that. That's really cool.
Care comes in many flavors. Yeah. Care comes in many flavors and many sizes and many forms. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Frame. Yeah. So with that being said, we're about to hop off right now. Thank you all for tuning in, and those who have tuned in and those who will tune in, and catch you next time.
Thank you, Gavin.
So much,
Thank
y'all.
you, Bird.